Good evening.
Members of Group 4, share your slides. Let's go.
Recording in progress. Recording
So
stopped.
it appears Group 3, you are not ready from the slide that I saw.
Sir, we are
Not
coming.
ready.
Sir, please, I'm having challenges here with my network. That's why.
So you are not ready. So Group 4,
Sir,
Group
please,
4,
I can
share your
continue.
slides. Esther
Sir, please.
and Car.
Sir,
Okay.
Esther and Car, share your slides. Let's make progress. We don't have all day here. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
So Group 5, be getting ready. Once they are done, you share your slides and then we continue from there. Okay. Yes, Group 4, let's go.
Hello, sir. Please, my name is Carl, and I'm presenting on behalf of Group 4. You are supposed to present on how DP cards and DD cards are insured.
Share your slide.
Yes, please.
Sir, please, we are experiencing some little challenges with the slide, so we sent it to NS to help us out.
Okay. So NS, share the slides for them. If you know you are having difficulty, send it to NS. So NS will host it for you.
Okay, sir. So we are to present on how DP cards and DD cards are insured.
No,
Cards,
no,
No.
that is not what you are presenting on. You are presenting on the first set of questions, right? The one on the PDF. Okay.
all right, sir.
Good
Yeah.
evening, sir. Please, my name is Esther Malpinyani Doho, a member of Group 4, and we are presenting on what perils and hazards is the differences. A peril is a potential event that can cause a loss or a damage, and then a hazard is an activity that can cause loss or a damage to an individual. And we have types of hazard. That's the physical hazard, which is an agent or a factor that can cause harm with contact. And there are two types of physical hazard: occupational hazard and environmental hazard. And with the moral hazard, it is a risk that a party has not entered into a contract in good faith or has provided misleading information about its asset, which leads to liability or credit capacity. And then we have attitudinal hazard, also known as moral hazard. That one, it involves the carelessness or influences to the potential loss on the part of an insured or applicant. And then legal hazard. The legal hazard increases the likelihood and severity of a loss due to a condition imposed by the legal processes that forces an insurer to cover a risk. I'll hand over to Carl from here.
Okay, sir. So the next set of questions talking about how both the DP cards and TV cards are insured. Right. So the full meaning of DP drive from port. Usually, this type of cars are imported to the country and they have 2 weeks validation of insurance. This type of cars are not for road use. They are for scrutiny, for facilitation to know whether the car has an outright mandate to be moved on the road. And after 2 weeks, they are supposed to be sent to the DVLE so that they can be given trade states and be registered. After this is done, they before they give them the trade states, they are usually changed from DP to the DB card. And with the DB cards, have some specific hours in which you are supposed to move on the road. That is, I think, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. That was then, but I think now it has been changed and is yet to be gazetted. And these cars are sent to most insurance companies for validation, and then these validations are for a year. So regardless of the month in which this car is being registered, it wouldn't exceed the next year. That is, its deadline is on the 31st of December of every year.
You are not, hello, you are not presenting that. If you are done, that's okay. Group 5. Okay, group 5. Let me.
Sir, please, we are not done.
You are not done. The gentleman is presenting on
Yes.
DV. Yes, he's presenting on DV, and you are telling me you are not done.
Sir, please, yeah, sorry. It has remained the last 2 questions. What is the meaning of adverse selection? It generally refers to any situation where a party in a contract negotiates, such as the seller or the insurer gives wrong information and vice versa. And the methods in controlling adverse selection is accurately identifying the risk factors and then having a verified information and placing caps on the coverage. And the 2 major differences between insurance and gambling. Gambling creates speculative risks, whilst insurance is used to handle existing pure risks. And then gambling is usually socially unproductive, as in one person's gain is at the expense of another, whilst insurance is neither the insured nor the insurer experiencing a loss at the other's gain. Thank you.
So, group 5, let's hear you.
Sir,
Manuel and Vanessa, share your slides.
group 3 is ready.
Group 5. Group 5, Emmanuel and Vanessa, share your slides. Which group is this?
Group 6 is Manuel and Vanessa.
This is Manuel
No.
and Vanessa. So please, this is group 5.
Priscilla and
Yes, sir.
Charles.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Priscilla
Yes,
and
sir.
Charles. You are group what?
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Group 5, sir.
Group 5, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm Quick Responder Didi, a member of Group 5, and we are presenting on the techniques for risk control, techniques for risk financing, the major fields of private insurance, and the several property and casualty insurance coverages in Ghana, then the characteristics of social insurance programs. Thank you. So risk control. We said risk control can be defined as the method by which firms evaluate potential losses and take actions to reduce or eliminate such threats. And we took this image to signify our definition of risk control. We can see that there is a yellow image which states safety first. Sorry, this one has covered. So the man is happy because he's thinking about the safety of the people. So the safetyness came into the picture first. So since he's having that perception, he will make sure that if that is a business, they'll set up measures that will hinder all potential losses that might um, cause a threat to their functions. And techniques of loss control are loss prevention. And we said it's a form of effective risk management that reduces the possibilities of hazards in the workplace. And one of the ways you can prevent loss is having a strong security system. We can see a security guy sitting behind some number of computers watching. I'm sure there's a CCTV camera in their building and they are making sure they are checking everything out in order not to encounter or see any theft issue, or this will help them to prevent any loss of theft or any other thing, any distraction. And we also, another technique is risk reduction. It's sometimes called loss mitigation. It's a process of reducing the consequence of the risk. So in this case, with the risk retention, the frequency is high, but the severity is low. So the frequency is high, the probability of it occurring is very high, but the intents of the risk is very low. So what you have to do with this type of risk is you have to prevent it. And another technique for risk management is risk financing. And we said it is the determination of how an organization will pay for loss events in the most effective and least costly way possible. So it means with this, you are managing the risk, but you are making sure that it's not at a high expense of the organization. And it involves identification of the risks, determining how to finance and so on. And there are techniques under risk financing, there are retention, non-insurance transfer, commercial insurance. So when we come to retention, we said it is a risk management technique in which the company facing a risk decides to absorb, either a company or an individual decides to absorb, accept any potential loss rather than transferring to an insurer or other party. So we chose this example. This is a lady carrying her laundry, and she has taken everything where she can get a basket or a basin to keep the things inside for her to be easy for easy movement to the washing machine area. So with risk retention like this, sorry for my voice, the individual or the company takes everything to him or herself. You absorb, take every potential losses. There are insurance companies around you can transfer the loss to, but some ignore and take everything. That is what we call the risk retention. And the non-insurance transfer is the transfer of risk from one party to another other than an insurance company. So with this one, the party will not insure the risk to an insurance company, but they keep on transferring it to other parties who are not insurance companies. So we can see that they are showing something like a bullet, yes, a bullet's picture of it. And it came from the first party to the second party and it went on to the third party. And we said insurable risk, and also known as insurance. And according to Regia 2008, he said insurance can be defined as a pooling of unexpected fortuitous losses by transfer of such risks to insurers who agree to indemnify insured for such losses and to provide pecuniary benefits on their occurrence or to render services connected. So we give this picture, and the umbrella there is serving as the insurance company. The insurance company covers up, or if you insure a risk, it means that you have placed the risk under an umbrella. If in case the risk should occur, there is something there you are relying on that will bring you back to your state. So that's what is meant by insurable risk. And our question also asked us to explain what a private insurance is. And we said private insurance is any insurance entity that is offered by a private entity instead of the state or federal government. And we said that their plans may be purchased on individual or group basis. The group plans are offered by the large employers, although some are available through voluntary associations. And some of this, it was also stated that the individual policies are more expensive than group policies. So these are some of the private insurance, the life and health, property and liability, and casualty. So we said life and health insurance, they both they sound similar, but or let me say the similarity of them is they both cover the insured person against an unforeseen and unfortunate event. So with life insurance, it pays a lump sum of money to beneficiaries in the case of premature death. And we give this picture. The picture is depicting, let's say, a husband, a wife, and their children. So somehow in the course of the line, the husband maybe lost his life. So it says the aim is to replace the economic value whilst you are lost. So meaning whilst he was alive, he had a life insurance policy where he was saving some premiums. So after he died, there was some monies for his family and monies that can cover outstanding funeral costs, medical expenses, and other debts. We also said health insurance is a type of insurance that covers medical expenses that arise due to illness. So with the health insurance policy, we all know what health insurance policy is because it's something that is dominant in Ghana. Most Ghanaians have the health insurance card. So with this health insurance, when you go to the hospital, its cost is lesser than the normal cost you be paying, the normal bills you be paying SP. So that's what we call the health insurance. And property and liability insurance. Property insurance is a broad term for a series of policies that provide either property protection coverage or liability coverage for property owners. So we have this car which has bumped into an electric pole and is destroyed now. So with this one, if the owner had insured the car, it's a property. So it's called the property insurance because it's a property, and maybe that type of insurance is called a property insurance because it's a property and you've insured it against a loss. So this is against an accident. So I'm sure the insurance company will reinstate the car to the owner if the owner insured it against an accident. Thank you. We also have the liability insurance, and we said it refers to an insurance product that provides an insured party with protection against claims resulting from injuries and damage and other people property. So one example I can give is, for instance, you borrowed something from a friend, a valuable item like maybe a phone, and you didn't handle it well. If you have a liability insurance, you are liable to reinstate legally liable to reinstate the loss you've caused to your friend. So that's what we call the liability insurance. And we have the casualty insurance, and we said it's a problematically defined term which broadly encompasses insurance not directly concerned with life insurance. So with the casualty insurance, it's not directly concerned with life, it's not directly with health, and it's also not directly concerned with property insurance, but it's for an individual of an organization. It covers an individual for an organization for maybe the individual's negligence acts or omissions. So we can see the man, he looks like a contractor or maybe a supervisor, and they're putting up something or they're getting something done, and he got hit on his knee or at his knee, sorry. So it means if this man has a casualty insurance for the work he's doing, the insurance package will cover up for the cost of what he has encountered. Yes, please. So characteristics of the insurance program, we said, no, I give it to Charles to continue.
You have less than 2 minutes remaining.
So because of time, we'd like to move straight to the end involving the basic insurance schemes, the social insurance schemes we have in Ghana. So, So, sir, with our very first scheme, we have yes, sir. So, with our very first scheme, we have the livelihood and empowerment against poverty. That's the LEAP program. It was created in 2008 by the Ghanaian.
And where is it? Where is it?
So I think she has to move the slides forward, sorry, because she's controlling our screen. Good. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so as seen, we have actually there were 5 of them that we could find. So the first of them is LEAP, that's the Livelihoods Empowerment Against Poverty program. Now, this was first created in 2008 by the Ghanaian government for extremely poor households with categorized eligibility. So to qualify for this program, you have to be in these categories as follows. You must be 65 years above. You must be orphaned or vulnerable as a child, or you must be a person with a severe disability without any productivity powers, meaning you can't be involved in any productivity activities that may earn you employment or an income. Now, they had several objectives, but their main one was to reduce poverty with the increment of opportunities to the extremely poor and vulnerable in society. Secondly, they were supposed to increase household consumption and nutrition among infants below 2 years and then adults over 65 years. Also increase healthcare for infants below the age of 5 and then adults above the age of 65. And then they also include birth registration of children, among many others. Moving on, we have the Labor Intensive Public Works, that's the LIPW. Its main purpose was to control the influx of the youth from north to south, or if you like, rural-urban drifts. It was created in 2010 through the GSOP. It issued the amount of $56 million for its execution in 60 relatively poor districts in Ghana. Now, their main objective was to increase local employment and income earning opportunities during agricultural off-seasons in the country, in the northern areas most especially. They also sought to protect local households against unforeseen or external shock and reaccommodate and bolster productive and social infrastructure. Now, despite its national reach, the 3 northern regions are the biggest areas of focus with this program. With 29 out of the 49 beneficiary districts, these statistics amount for 18% of the entire country's populace, meaning the northern regions are actually the biggest beneficiaries of this program to ensure the influx is well curtailed in the country. Then moving on to our next social program was the school feeding program itself. Now, this is an initiative of the African Agricultural Development Program, or Pillar 3, if you must. It enhances food security and the reduction of hunger in line with the Sustainable Development Goals initiated by the UN. And then it provides primary school kids with 1 nutritious hot meal every single day within their academic calendar, prepare for them from local foodstuffs. But then its main objective was to ensure that 80% of the country's food budget was spent on the local economy to ensure the feeding program was a success. And then moving on, we also have the NHIS program. Now, with the NHIS program, it was created under the Insurance Act 2003 under Act 650 as a body corporate, meaning if anyone else was to assume its nature or purpose as an organization, it could be sued or can be sued. But then the NHIS also covers as a health insurance for all citizens who are under its registration to have a percentage, which we couldn't find actually, a percentage of all their healthcare benefits and costs covered by the states before users or set subscribers can pay for any other additional services, depending on their various healthcare providers. And then with the last one, it was the Basic Education Capitation Grant. Now, this grant provides coverage for all registered government or public schools in the GES jurisdiction. The final or the 3rd term, because normally every school year in the public school has 3 terms. So within the 3rd term, this scheme uses it as a base to calculate all other benefits or all other funds to push through students who can't afford to go through the public school system.
I'll be winding up. And
Yes,
it's
sir.
important it for us to finish.
Yes, sir. So basically, these five constitute the social insurance programs run in the country, sir. So that is it.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we have group 6. Emmanuel and Vanessa.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And let's keep your eyes on the time.
Hello, good evening. Please,
Yes,
Vanessa's
sir.
network is a bit shaky, so I'll be presenting instead. So our first question
What is your name? What is your name?
Dorothy.
Okay, you are presenting with who?
George, Emmanuel George.
Okay. So put
So
it in the slide mode. Put it in the slide mode.
Okay, so our first question is what enterprise risk management is. Basically, it is a process where an organization or a company decides to assess and exploit their finances and monitor the risk and the sources that these risks may come from and try and minimize it before the effects of the risk affects the firm. For instance, let's say you decide to insure your house or a clothing shop that you have. It is that will be you taking an enterprise risk management effort. That will be termed as enterprise risk management. So owning the shop and you store it so that in the future, when anything happens, you can have something secure to take care of it. An example also is, let's say UPSA decides to install a fire extinguisher for an impromptu fire outbreak in order to minimize the risk. Our second question is, how does enterprise risk management differ from traditional risk management? So basically, traditional risk management is the opposite of enterprise risk management. So what traditional risk management does is it decides when people that practice traditional risk management take care of the incidents after it has happened. So after an incident occurs, then an effort is put in to prevent the situation from happening again. However, like I said, it is the opposite of enterprise risk management, which looks at the future and attempts to determine the potential events and handle it before it happens. So please, George will continue with the rest of the questions. Thank
Thank you very much, Doris. That are associated with economic insecurity. So I'd like to first start by explaining what a pure risk is. So a pure risk is a risk that's beyond our control or possibility. Yet still, it can result in a loss or a no loss. So under this pure risk, we have three types. So the first one is personal risk. The second one is property risk, and the third, liability risk. So I'd like to explain what the personal risk is. So a personal risk is a risk that directly affects the individual's capability to earn income. And under this, we can have premature death, old age, sickness or disability, unemployment. So they can be classified into these four. So for example, an athlete, let's say a football athlete, once they age or once they have an injury, it affects the income because at a certain level or at a certain age, you will not be able to perform to the level that you've always wanted. So this affects you. But one thing that cannot be changed is because nothing can be done about aging, for example. And no matter what you age. So, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the best. He keeps on training and everything, but no matter what, once age sets in, he can never do anything to reverse time. So, property risks. So, this is a risk that one bonds to his or her possession or property, and which results in the destruction of their property or their property gets lost.
So this thing, property risk can happen to, let's say, your building, your land, because no matter the kind of technology that you have, nothing can really be done about a situation like an earthquake. So once your building is going down, there's nothing you can do to save your building from falling. And I think most of us have seen how flooding have affected even areas like countries like Germany in recent times. So there are times where we might say that, oh, maybe Ghana, we have issues and all that. But regardless of the technology or how far some of these countries have gone or they have reached, they still have issues with flooding. So this makes one of these property risks. We also have liability risks. So this arises as a result of this. This is an intentional or unintentional injury or damage that can happen to an individual or property as a result of negligence or carelessness. And this is sometimes faced in Africa. I'm sorry to say, but this is sometimes faced in Africa because some people do not put in the extra effort or they do not give out their best when they are working. So I would like to cite a scenario whereby an individual can suffer as a result of a liability risk. So I'm sure most of us have seen scaffolds when individuals are painting high-rise buildings. Scaffold. So let's take it for example. The person who is supposed to arrange the scaffolds doesn't do their job well. We end up having the workers falling off. And I'm sure that most of us have heard stories whereby people were working on buildings and they fell, or sometimes the concrete was not well arranged and the building collapsed. So this is a liability risk. So our next question is to describe the major social and economic burdens of risks on society. Risks is something that really causes a society to have a lot of burden. Because, okay, before I go on to give my example, I would like to give some of the burdens or some of the effects that risk has on society. One, the size of an emergency fund must be increased. Two, society may be deprived of needed goods and services. Three, worry and fear are present. So I'll not take us too far, but I'll just take it. I'll just bring us into our present time. So let's take the COVID pandemic, for example. We all know how, at a point in time, a COVID fund had to be mobilized in order to support the economy or to support the government to help people who were really in need, because most people had contracted this disease and they didn't have money to help themselves, and it could have resulted in spreading. So the government had to increase funds or search for funds in order to solve this situation. And we also were here, and we also know how even taxes were increased, even though at a point in time where we thought we were going to get them free. Taxes have to be increased in order to support the economy, because if the economy wasn't stabilized, the government or the country was going to suffer. So I think this example is very clear to most of us because we're all in the COVID time still. So our next question is explain the difference between a direct loss and indirect loss. So losses can come in several forms. It can be direct or indirect. So for a direct loss, it's natural and it's as a result of a breach in the usual course of things. And it really affects you. So for example, furniture, equipment, inventory can be destroyed. So for indirect loss, it's a loss that is resulted, which is not indirect or which is not caused by a direct breach, but normally or naturally arise from circumstances of a non-breaching part. So the E, identify the major risks faced by business firms. So we are very much aware, due to the times that we find ourselves in these recent times, where many people try to find many dubious ways and means to enrich themselves. It has resulted in a lot of risks or abundance of risks happening everywhere which is posed by businesses. So we have property risks, liability risks, loss of business income, crime exposures, human resource exposures, foreign loss exposures, many of them, even government exposures, because risk can go as far as even affect the states, not just individuals, but also the states. So this is the end of my presentation, and I hope we all enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel and Dorothy. Yes, so we have group 7, Opuni and Enyonam. Opuni and Enyonam. Share slides. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So the next group is group 8, Lily and Jerry. So get ready.
Sir, please, we give it to Ernest to project it for us.
Okay, so Ernest, we are waiting.
Okay. What's group? Group 7. Please, okay. Okay, yeah, it's fine. So please, can you go to the question for us?
The clock is ticking, right?
Okay, so my name is Almond from Group 7, and we are here to present on the characteristics of a typical insurance plan. But so before that, insurance as a whole is a means of protection from financial losses. So we got to know that over this insurance, we have 4 characteristics of it, which is the typical insurance plan. So we have the pooling loss, the payment of fortuitous losses, the risk transfer, and then indemnification. So going on, we understand that pooling loss is the spreading of losses incurred by the few over the entire group. So what this typically means is that an example is a state, city, government could join together to create a risk pool for workers' compensation insurance. So that's an example for the pooling loss. And when we're talking about the payment of fortuitous losses, it's a loss that are unforeseen. So those kind of insurance too can be caused by accidents, because sometimes you don't know if you're going to face any accident that's going to come our way. So those kind of losses are the fortuitous losses. And moving on, we have the risk transfer losses too. And with this kind of losses, an example is an individual who purchases car insurance is acquiring financial protection against physical damage that can result in the future. So what risk transfer is telling us is that you are actually ensuring what will happen in the future. You're just predicting maybe if something should happen to you in the future. You're just ensuring yourself for the better. And we have indemnification. So, indemnification, an example of an indemnification is that the owner of a commercial property, let's say the owner of a commercial property has been paying an insurance premium to an insurance company, okay, so that she can recover the cost of any damages that can occur to her at any point in time. So I'm going to leave it to my sister Anyona.
is a concept that is used to calculate the average number of events of risk in a population to predict something. And insurance companies use the law of large numbers to predict the risk of loss or claims of participants, so the premium can be calculated appropriately. And insurance companies, the law of large numbers helps insurance companies to estimate their value that the policyholders will have to pay. And the next question is, pure risk ideally should have certain characteristics to be insurable by private insurance. So we are going to list the characteristics of an ideally insurable risk. The first characteristic is that there must be a large number of exposure units. This means that there should be similar cases of peril or group of perils, and this will help the insurer predict losses based on the large numbers, the law of large numbers that was explained earlier. And this helps the insurer predict it accurately. It also determines the amount of money that should be paid to each policyholder. The second one is that the loss must be accidental and not intentional. It means that a policyholder cannot just maybe burn down his house in hopes of getting money from the insurer. That a pure risk should be accidental and it should not be intentional. The third one is that the loss should be determinable and measurable. This means that the loss should have a cause, time, and place. It has to be identified. Maybe if there was a fire, the time of the fire has to be identified, the place of the fire, and then, yes, please, the cause of the fire. The fourth one is that the loss should not be catastrophic. This means that a large number of losses should not incur at the same time. And a group of policyholders cannot just come and say that maybe there was a fire outbreak in their houses at the same time. Yes, please. And then the fifth one is the chance of loss should be calculable. It means that the insurer must be able to calculate the amount supposed to be paid to each policyholder, and the premium that's supposed to be paid to taken from each policyholder. And then the sixth one is that the premium must be economically feasible. It means that the policyholders should be